I'm Carla Braidek, and I'm from Big River, Saskatchewan. And today, on this beautiful, beautiful sunny day, I am at the Big River Public Library, and I'm going to read to you from my essay from the Apart anthology put out by the Saskatchewan Writers Guild. Lake Notes. The window pane is cool beneath my palm, as flakes so small they are almost pellets sheet from the sky. It will not take long for them to fill the deck in their deliberate way. Already they mask the path and fire pit we used last night. There were only 3 of us, awaiting a 4th, gathered very loosely around a welcoming fire not far from the house. Events of the day were quietly shared, including sightings of lynx tracks and the welcome continuation of blue skies and no wind. Casually, we poked the fire and wondered if our 4th was going to arrive. This night was an opportunity to say hello while still maintaining recommended social distancing. It was also the continuation of a ritual, the burning of the torches. When our words were used up and the waiting was enough, we dipped our tightly rolled cardboards into the blaze of the pit and ambled the path to the lake. Each torch is fashioned from old tree planting boxes, which are made from wax-coated cardboard, the ideal material for a torch. The roll is secured with a bit of string. A few years ago, my partner took the time to figure this out, and thus began our torch ritual. Torches require night, snow, and ideally not extremely cold temperatures or high winds, though we have gone out in some dubious conditions. Gripping our torches at the base, we held them upright so they would not be consumed too quickly. We made our way down the short path, using care as we passed through the tree line of poplar, birch, spruce, and tamarack. Arriving on the shore of the lake, we trudged out onto its snow-covered surface. Dawson arrived, and then we were 4. We drifted in slow meanders, partly from the lumpy footing, partly from repeatedly pausing to look at our own and others' torches. None of us strayed too far, perhaps out of laziness, but more likely because the desire to remain closer during this time of social constraint. There wasn't a lot of conversation. More time was passed admiring the stars and squinting into torchlight. And the torches burned, bright in the velvet sky. We had the perfect night. The sliver moon had not risen, so the Milky Way rolled across the heavens. Between us, we could identify 4 constellations. I managed to find Cassiopeia. We wheeled our arms through the air and the torches flared. Taryn tossed his, as if to catch it, but then let it drop to the snow, scooped it up and swept it through the air. The torch glowed and blazed. I wrote my name with mine, then stood still and breathed and watched as the others moved and unwittingly wrote brief stories in the night. On other occasions we have had as many as 18, from grandparents to infants, and the night is boisterous. Everyone who wants a torch gets one. There is much chatter as we prepare, joking back and forth, handing torches about and helping the young ones. A 4-year-old runs across the packed snow of the lake in glee, waving her banner. The danger is minimal. If they become afraid, they just drop the torch onto the snow. Everyone knows to keep the distance. We each go our own way. Some choose to stay in a cluster or stroll in 2s. Some lay down, resting their torch beside them in the snow. Some dance to unheard music, trailing flames in their wake. We are stars, shifting and finding a place on the expanse of lake. We move, create constellations to find our way. Someone has a sleigh for the littles. It bears discarded toques and scarves. We trudge and sit and lay and hang out on the ice for the hour it takes for the big torches to burn down. Someone leads the way back as their flame dwindles. When a torch burns short, its bearer perches on the lake surface and continues the walk home. Torches left behind, glowing in the snow, blaze the trail of where we've been, or perhaps they are the dream of where we will go. We crouch by the fire pit, nurse the coals back to a healthy blaze, and talk a bit more. Sometimes. Sometimes we are so full of peace, of the immensity of what's happening, that we simply sit, then say good night, head to our beds. Last night we did not linger by the fire pit. The others paused briefly, appreciated the night, and left. There were no heads together to admire stars or snow. There were no arms around shoulders in comfortable camaraderie. Everyone had carefully stayed in their own space. I pushed still orange sticks into one another. A small flame leapt up, tenacious. It was time to leave night to itself. Today I walk out, find the remnants of last night's torches. There are only 4 burn holes in the snow where we placed them. Today's is a solitary walk, no accompanying giggly voices, no quick feet through the snow to locate the markers, identifying who was where. I mentally note who planted each torch that became today's dirty smudge marks. That recognition seems important, verifying our individual presence in this huge expanse. The shape we created is a small constellation, and it is quickly being obliterated. A few days ago I walked out on the lake, reveling in the bright sunlight. I moved between the home point and Ant Island, following snowshoe tracks. The lake was open, welcoming, and solidly frozen. There was no wind. It was one of those days you could walk too far and not realize, until too late, that you don't have the energy to return. The world begged me to join her. I managed to limit myself, paused on the lake to consider my options, and decided to follow another snowshoe track where it skirted between 2 islands. The firmer surface made for easier walking, but our paths diverged, and I continued on my own, breaking trail in ankle-deep snow. Not a difficult task, but slowing me, and I was more than willing to loiter. The far shore of the lake seemed to keep shifting. Was it the unique angle I approached from that made me consider what I was seeing? There seemed to be small meadows here and there on the shore. Ah, mist was rising. A sheer cloud had slipped over the sun. It created ideal conditions for fog. I dropped to my knees and settled back to rest on my lower legs. I wanted this. The fog grew out of the west, crept along the south shore, along Willie's Point, and ballooned in the North Bay. It swelled into the lake tentatively, careful to be sure it was welcome. Dwindle and surge, it was a tide attempting to fill a space. The haze crept into the South Bay and snuck along the east bank. The direction home blurred. Tracks 30 feet away faded into mist. Yet behind me was clear. My eyes double-blinked, testing the directions, questioning what to trust. There was immense silence. No bird calls. No vehicles on the road. I did not hear my heart. My knees were not cramped. My feet not cold. There was only the fog, the gift of itself, its offering. I wanted the wispy vapor to expand and envelop me. I wanted the hug of it, wanted to know its gentleness. But even the fog kept its distance. The sky nudged the cloud from the sun, and the haze receded much as it had come, silently, in a sinuous dance, withdrawing more quickly than arriving. I struggled up, my knees and ankles stiff with immobility, made my way to the shore, clambered up the path to my yard and into the house. Then I turned around and went out again. There was something out there, and I wanted to bring it home with me. But it had gone. All that remained were the unseen stars in the bright sky. I went in and put water on for tea. Today, flakes fill paths. The sky is heavier than a shovelful of snow. One mug waits on the table. My fridge is covered with art and photos. And I wonder, what constellations do we create when we travel alone? Thank you for listening.